all in. The Iran file is on Volume 5, and tonight's entry is different from the last 4, so listen close to the framing. Volume 4 tested a word, open, against 80 minds. Tonight's word is trajectory. On Wednesday, the Vice President of the United States sat down on the biggest podcast on Earth and described where this war is heading. Within about a day, Tehran answered. Tonight, we put the description and the answer on the same table, and we read them the only way this desk knows how. Positions over time. The characterization, exactly as spoken. Vice President Vance, on Joe Rogan's show, describing the policy. We're using carrots and sticks. We're trying to talk to the pragmatists. And then, of course, when they commit acts of violence, we're responding to it. And all those things are happening simultaneously to get us on a better trajectory. He called the situation the right trajectory. And in the same conversation, he allowed that it would be really messy. Every word of that is his, and I want it read fairly, because tonight's exercise depends on it. Now the label, because this desk files things where they belong. That statement is not a lie, and I will not call it one. It is an assessment, a read on direction. You cannot fact-check a hope, soldier, any more than you can court-martial a weather forecast. What you can do, what an after-action does, is date-stamp the assessment, wait for the record, and set the two side by side. The Vice President made his read on Wednesday. Here is what Thursday said. The day after. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman, Esmaeil Baghaei, went on state media and closed the doors one by one. No plans to resume negotiations with the United States. The June 17th Memorandum of Understanding, the ceasefire's paper spine, suspended, and the Republic's full attention, in his framing, shifting to national defense. The pragmatists the Vice President hopes to talk to did not come to the phone. The man who did come to the phone announced there is no call scheduled, and the ordnance kept its own calendar. American strikes on Iran ran into a 5th consecutive day. Meanwhile, the inspectors, the only neutral eyes that could tell the world what is actually inside those bombed nuclear sites, are still outside the fence. The UN's nuclear chief has said inspections will happen. Tehran's position? After a deal. There is no deal, there are no talks planned, and so there is no access. 5 days of strikes on sites nobody neutral can see. That is the operational picture the trajectory word is riding on. The fair reading, and it gets a full magazine, not a courtesy round. Diplomacy in wartime is genuinely messy, and the Vice President said so himself in the same breath. Pressure and talk running simultaneously is a real doctrine with a real history. It is how some wars actually end. There are pragmatists in Tehran, and one bad Thursday does not prove they are gone. His read could still prove right. If the memo comes back, if a channel opens, if the shooting stops, this desk will file that record with the same weight as tonight's. The file genuinely stays open. But a trajectory is not a feeling, soldier. It is a line drawn through positions over time. So draw it. The ceasefire memo. Alive on Wednesday, suspended by Thursday. Negotiations, hoped for on Wednesday, ruled out by Thursday. The strikes. Day 4 on Wednesday, Day 5 by Thursday. The inspectors. Outside the sites before, outside the sites still. 4 markers, 1 day apart, every single one moving the same direction, and it is not the direction the podcast described. You may hope the line bends. The line, as drawn, does not care. Why press on one word from one podcast? Because the word is doing the work the record cannot. Trajectory, spoken from the Vice Presidency, tells a country at war that the road leads somewhere better, and it asks no evidence for the claim. The people who deserve the straight version are the ones living inside it, the crews still anchored in the Gulf from the Hormuz file, the families of everyone in range of Day 6, and a public deciding what this war is worth while being told the direction is right as every measurable marker points away. An assessment sold as a bearing is how a war buys another week. The honest after-action, then. The assessment is entered as opinion, fairly quoted, hedge and all. The record is entered as fact. Memo suspended, talks ruled out, 5 days of strikes, inspectors outside. Today they point in opposite directions, and the record outranks the read. If the line bends toward the table, Volume 6 will say so in the first sentence. Until then, check the positions, not the podcast. That's the after-action. Dismissed. I'm Mark, and this is Pixel Politics.